For sure, I've always been a patient person, but fighting games I think gaming in general can teach you to be more patient, especially when you're trying to get better at games or start to like dive into more of a competitive aspect of games. Patience is a virtue. It's one of those like cliche terms or whatever, but it's actually true. And also, probably the most important, I think, for me is losses. You learn from your losses. Like just instead of saying I lost, be like I'm learning. You know, most people when it comes to fighting games or anything, they want the W. They don't care how they get the W. They just want to see on that screen you win. Like they don't care how they got it. They don't care if they mashed on wake up to get it. They just want to say you win. Or in a way they're alive, wiener. I don't know why they had such a weird sounding. Sound like they're saying wiener, like wiener.
Man, it's crazy. Like when you just said like you win, it reminded me of like Street Fighter Alpha 2, because right after that you hear the character select theme like dun 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 dun. Like it was right after you win. That's what came to my head. But my bad. Go ahead with your take.
But it's just like, you know, most people just want to win. Like nobody wants to hear the infamous Street Fighter 2. You'll lose. Nobody wants to hear that. They even want to hear you win or perfect. Nobody wants to hear you'll lose. So you have to, but if you want to get better, like legitimately get better, you have to be like, okay, I lost. Why did I lose? And that's the same thing with life. Like if you start a business and it fails, like you can learn like, okay, what part of this business did I mess up on? Or what part of this did I mess up on? Oh, that's the part. Let me zoom in on it. Let me go and observe this part a little more closely and see how I can make it better. Same thing with fighting games. If you lose, oh, I wasn't. He kept whiff punishing me. I kept throwing out buttons too much. He kept punishing me. Stop whiff punishing. Stop throwing out buttons as much. You know, oh, he every time I threw a fireball out, he supered me. Stop throwing fireballs out as much. Just learn from those things. So that's one thing I see a lot in just gaming. Like people just don't want to take the time to look at like what do I need to do is I want to win. And then that'll work for a little bit. Let's say you get to a decent enough skill level to just win against like certain people, but then you find people that are actually like legitimately solid and sound in like fundamentals. Now you're gonna lose. And you're like, man, I was winning, man. Why am I losing now? Then you be like, I'm give up. It's like you don't understand. Like there's something that they're doing that's they're thinking better than you in a sense. You just got to figure, okay, now what is this person doing now that's beat me? So that's I think for me that's the biggest thing I've learned is just your losses aren't always necessarily losses. It's learning experience. Just look at that. You can win from your losses. You can take some. Oh, I need to stop doing this. I won because I won information now that I know that can possibly lead me to start winning later on. So, but like I said, most people want that you win. They don't want that you'll lose. No.
You lose.
No. So anybody out there, just remember that if you lose, like I know it's frustrating sometimes, but you got to be able to look at yourself and be accountable and be self-aware. That's the biggest thing. Be self-aware. Like you're not always doing the right things all the time. You're not always the best player all the time. You got to look at you. You're gonna make mistakes. You're human. So definitely looking at losses and learning is the biggest thing I've taken from fighting games, and just kind of say this is a whole life lesson in itself.
Yeah, Devin has made a lot of people have to learn from losing. So
Okay.
So for me, like one thing that that I kind of had to learn when I started playing fighting games, and not even like when I started playing fighting games, we're talking about recently in the past like couple years, is that one of the best things you can do is give yourself the space to fail, right? Like you can't get too frustrated with yourself like when you lose, you know? I mean a lot of stuff is going to be like loss related, right? But you can't be too mad at yourself when you lose. Like you got to trust, like they say, trust the process. And part of the process is that, you know, like you got to you got to be patient with yourself, man. Like you can't expect to be like one of the best, like starting off or maybe a month in. Huh?
So you from Philly for real talking about trust the process.
Yeah, I know, right? They've been telling us that for like 30 years now. We're gonna be trusting the process for another 50 years, I think, at this rate, man. Hold on, thing with Ben Simmons. And anyway, like, yeah, that's a completely different conversation. Doc Rivers, save us. So yeah, man. One of the things, like one thing, I was never really patient with myself. I used to get frustrated because I felt like, there were a lot of playing against a lot of people who are already used to playing the game, and then you feel like you're not learning fast enough, And the thing is, like, you have to remember, everybody learns at different paces, and it might not even. It sometimes it's differs from game to game. Like in one game, you might be like, "Man, I picked this up super quick," but in another game, it might take you a lot longer to grasp some of the concepts, and that's okay too. The point is that you grasp the concept eventually. Like, you can't let yourself get so bogged down or stuck in the way of thinking, "Oh man, I'm not doing this fast enough. How come I'm not learning this?" You gotta, like, you like, number one, like I said, everybody learns at a different pace, right? But number two, like, the whole point is to have fun, right? And you gotta focus on having fun. If you focus on having fun when you're doing that, I pretty much can guarantee you that the concepts, you'll almost learn them through osmosis. Like, you'll just you'll just start absorbing them, like, over time, naturally. And then before you know it, you're doing all the right stuff, and it's not because you were focused on, oh man, why am I not learning this? You were just focused on having fun and, like, just learning, like, just enjoy learning. Like, that's one of the things that honestly, like, I mean, I didn't start doing until I started playing Soul Calibur 6. And recently, very recently, within the past, like, week or two, Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, playing Belial, or Belial, depending on how you like to pronounce it. I like the way Belial sounds. Anyway, like, playing Belial, I started playing that character, and I was like, oh, this is a cool character. Let me see what this guy's all about. And I feel like this is one of the few times I've ever actually sat down and been like, okay, let me turn on the frame advantage thing to see what that looks like to me. What is this? What am I supposed to be doing here? What am I doing here? Like, and like, when people are attacking me, I'm looking, okay, so when is it okay to, like, start attacking again and stuff like that? Like, I'm actually really enjoying the learning process, and it's not all about winning. And it's not all about, I don't get so frustrated with myself when I lose. I say, okay, I was almost there. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel, So yeah, I mean, I guess, like, I say all that to say, you gotta, like, focus on having fun, be patient with yourself, and don't rush. Like, that's the most important. Like, I guess you could just be like, just have fun and don't rush yourself. Trust the process, because, like, the whole point is to have fun and, just learn. Like, I mean, because for me, when I'm playing a fighting game, my goal isn't necessarily to be, like, the best player ever. My goal is to be able to hang with the best people that I know, that I play with regularly, like all my friends. Like, that's the goal. I'm not trying to go to Evo or anything like that. The most important thing to me is to get to the point where I can at least make it a good match for the people that I play with on the regular. So, I mean, everybody's got different goals, but that's my goal. And you got to know what your goal is. So, yeah, so that, I guess, be patient with yourself, trust the process, and, know what your goal is, I guess. I don't know. But, like, those are some of the things that I've been able to take from playing fighting games over the past, like, 3 years. It hasn't been that long, actually.
Well, one thing fighting games have taught me about life is, when you're feeling pressure, just whiff ultra. Oh, but seriously, seriously, it's two things that it's two things that fighting games have really taught me. And sometimes you just gotta make yourself have a good day. But two things that fighting games have really taught me is, just one is perseverance. I used to have the mindset of, just like, man, like, stuff just keeps happening in life. Like, I'm just sick of it. I'm tired. Like, I'm finna quit. Now, a Mr. Gaming Lift lesson is another thing. But when we talking about just general, like, fighting game knowledge, like, that really helped me to just keep on going and stuff like that. Cause when you don't know a lot, you just start. It's like, it's easy to just think down of yourself when you see other people doing better, and you just feel like you're down here. It's just easy to just be like, I'm not enough. Well, I mean, everybody has the ability to get better. So you just have to not let the losses get to you and just persevere. Just keep going. Because a lot of those times you'll realize that the thoughts you have in your head are literally working against you, and trying to stop you from doing what you know you should do and know that you need to do. So perseverance is one thing. And another thing is that fighting games has taught me is that you can't do what you want in life and expect, a certain result. You get the results in life based off the direction you walk towards, you know. So like in fighting games, come with pre-designed rules and regulations and ways of doing things that if you implement these in the most efficient way, you gain a certain result, right? So, you have all your different moves, you have all your different this and different that, but we know it's timing the way you do things. If somebody can, whiff punish you or could easily just hop over your move, you just don't throw out the fireball just because you have it and just because you like it. They're
Yeah.
gonna, like Devin said, they're just gonna keep whacking you every time. So you just can't do what you want to do and expect success. You have to work within the system of the fighting game, learn its rules, learn how it works, and actually carry those things out in an efficient and wise manner to get the result that you want. That's where strategy comes into play. And life is the same way. If you want to be financially well off, you don't get it by spending every last dollar you got and not investing or putting it into something that's going to make you more money. If you want to, learn more, you don't get it from just not reading or not studying or not consuming some type of information and just saying like, hey, I'll figure it out. It don't work like that. You really have to be diligent in the stuff that you do to actually, gain some type of knowledge or gain better at it. And it's the same with fighting games. You want to get better at the fighting game, you got to actually put time into it. Learn, study. You're not gonna, expecting to be beating those Sonic Fox and stuff like that. And you play the game once every, hour after a certain time of the day when the full moon is out. It's just not gonna work. So you can't do what you want in life and expect and expect successful results. You just can't, just be going out here just mashing buttons as soon as the match start and think you just finna win. Like, and then, just like, oh, bump it, I lost, forget it. Like there's things you have to do to be successful. One thing some people taught me in life is success is predictable and failure is predictable. You can look at what a person's doing, how they're behaving, how they're acting, how they're carrying out life, and you can tell if they're going to be successful. Just like with fighting games, I'm sure, pros or people who have put the things in order to learn how to be good at fighting games and actually got there can look at somebody else's behavior and be like, based off what he's doing, he's not going to get any better. He's playing around. He's not doing what it takes. You know, People who've been there and done that know what it takes. So, that's why I'm a firm believer in like experience is not the best teacher, it's wisdom. Because you could save me a bunch of time if you just tell me what to do instead of me just walking out here blind. I mess up and then like, oh, that was the right way the whole time. Like somebody could have just told me go that way the first time and I'd have just went.